All right. So to start off, could you just tell us a little bit about who you are, where you come from, and what you bring to the table as a council member?
Well, I'm the Commissioner of Finance, Michele Madigan. I've been Commissioner of Finance since 2012. I was born and raised in this area. I grew up in Waterville. I have spent some time in both the private and public sector. I've created large national libraries for the United States Small Business Administration, and I worked for a commercial finance company when I lived in Chicago, running a large information center with about an $11 million budget. So I felt when I relocated back to this area and I joined the Democratic Committee and they asked if I would consider running for Commissioner of Finance, I thought that fit in nicely with my background.
All right. So how would you characterize your impact on Saratoga, the growth in the past couple of years?
I think my impact has been very positive. The main role of the Commissioner of Finance, of course, is to present the budget, manage the budget, propose the property tax rate. There are all sorts of other things that we can do as commissioners in a commission form of government, but that is the main role. I'm the chief financial officer. And what I've been able to do is essentially stabilize taxes. I have put out budgets with 0 increases in tax rate, and I've also presented budgets with decreases in the tax rate. But not such a significant decrease that you would want to signal that a major increase is going to come at some point too. I run on stability, smart budgets, and stable taxes. And I think that's what people really want, and I think it's what people deserve. I've also been able to ensure that we have all the essential services that the city needs, police, fire, EMS. And I've also shored up all of our reserves to ensure that we are never caught unaware. Whether it's to a recession or losing a large revenue source like VLT, this city is prepared for that. This city should not, under my watch, ever have to consider layoffs or serious expense reductions as a result of losing a revenue source.
All right. Thank you. So now we're going to talk about a couple of specific issues. So could you just kind of give us an idea of your stance on the Saratoga National Golf Resort?
So this has been coming up for about the last 2 years. They clearly have a project that they want to move forward on, Saratoga National, that includes a resort, and a resort that would be in our city's greenbelt. And overall, I have said no. Originally, they came forward with wanting to have PUDs in our greenbelt. Those are planned unit developments. And I felt that that would open up every greenbelt parcel in our conservation development district to the potential of development. And who knows what it would be. PUDs can be very specific to the parcel owner and the developer. So I was against PUDs in the Greenbelt. The next proposal that came forward was a resort overlay, and I also felt that also opened the Greenbelt for development. I have been one of the sort of negotiators or swing votes on this because I've done a lot of research looking at Saratoga National, and long ago they were issued a special use permit that allows them to do a lot of what they're doing out there right now, including a banquet house and a clubhouse, and they have their golf course, things that should not be necessarily permitted in the Greenbelt. So I have been trying to determine if legally they could move forward under their special use permits and have what I think would be small, very small, modest growth of a 100-room unit hotel with very strict requirements for that. 3,000-foot setback off the road, no higher than 50 feet. And then all of the surrounding land around them, 90% or so, goes into a conservation development easement, which is a 3-way easement with the city, perhaps someone like Saratoga Plan, and Saratoga National Golf Course, so that you never run the risk of any further development out there again, and yet it does not open the greenbelt for development. The issue here is I need to consult with legal counsel. I don't even know if that's necessarily legal. Whatever may happen out there has to be legal, and it has to be working with our comprehensive plan.
All right. And so the city center parking garage or multi-purpose parking and shops?
Honestly, I'm not opposed to either one of them. I just believe that the city center needs parking. The city center has come forward now. It's been, I think, we're going on into the 4th year of them working with a city council that unanimously voted to allow the city center to move forward on their project for parking. The city center is different than, say, just retail shopping. They have a very captured audience. They're looking for conventions, tourism. We have brutal winters here. They need some kind of connected bridge parking to stay competitive. In order to bring people into our downtown through our convention tourism and shop in our downtown and sleep in our hotels. So I firmly believe the city center needs parking. They had a large expansion that they completed a few years ago. The second phase of that large expansion was to include more parking. They are still not at maximum capacity for conventions and tourism. They can hold maybe one large event right now, one small event, two small events, but they really have the potential to hold two large events, one large event, two small events, but you can't do that without having the recommended parking. We also know that Albany is coming on board with a convention center. We also know Schenectady is going to be, has a casino coming on board. We want to remain competitive. We want people to be able to come here, park easily, take all their stuff, because think about conventions. I mean, these are not people who can ride their bicycles here or take the bus. They're coming with materials, they're coming with, marketing materials, tables. They need to be able to park and get in and set up easily. If that happens through a request for proposals and the city center gets its parking and there's some multi-use that comes with that, that's terrific. But the city center needs parking.
All right, thank you. Now we're going to move on to some more campaign-specific topics. So your challenger this election, the former Commissioner Ken Ivins, has made some statements that he just has a better track record overall from his tenure in your office. So would you like to take a moment to respond to that?
Well, I couldn't disagree more. I think that's probably why I beat him in 2011. Commissioner Ivins could not accurately look at and estimate revenues and expenses. It was very unfortunate because it impacted people's jobs. I understand that we had a recession. I understand that we also lost some VLT funding. I understand that, I believe he panicked. He recommended to the council to lay off 55 people. In the end, they laid off 46 people. We had police chiefs and fire chiefs coming forward, offering up early retirement in order to save jobs. He would hear none of it. There was protesting from fire and police on this. And then at the end of the year, the same year where he had the layoffs, he literally came out and said, I found $2 million. So when you shouldn't be ending a year with a surplus of $2 million. You should be ending in a deficit or with zero money when you have that many layoffs. You lay off 46 people and you have $2 million. Those are people's jobs. Their retirements were impacted. It's difficult to come back from that. I am a finance commissioner who can and has very accurately estimated revenues and expenses. And my last budget came in at $90,000 surplus. $90,000. That is right on the money. And that's what enables me to make sure we have stable taxes and smart budgets.
Can you expand a little on the revenue that came in and on the 90,000?
Well, we have 5 main revenue sources, so it's kind of an easy thing to look at. Our city budget is made up of sales tax, state aid, VLT aid, mortgage tax, and occupancy tax. So those are our main revenue sources. There's also other revenues that may come in through the planning department and through the Department of Public Works when they do sidewalk and curb work, parking enforcement tickets, but 5 main revenue sources. So those are the ones that you always want to be looking at and projecting and looking at them year over year over year over year. And that's what I spend a lot of time doing. Sales tax is phenomenal right now. But I still watch it because when gas prices go down, sometimes that impacts sales tax. What I have found, though, is as gas prices have gone down, people have felt that they have a little bit more money in their pocket and are indeed still spending and coming to our downtown and shopping. So that's a good thing. So I've watched sales tax increase. But you also want to be paying attention to the market. The housing market right now seems to be very good. It wasn't quite as good in 2015. I've noticed that seems to be an every other year up and down revenue. So I try to estimate that one a little more conservatively and then hope that there's going to either be more revenue coming in, but I prefer to estimate that one more conservatively. And I look over the expense lines of all the departments regularly and adjust the budget regularly. So I was pretty pleased to come in at $90,000.
All right, thank you. So another one of Mr. Ivins' campaign items is that City Hall has an unfriendly atmosphere. That there's a lot of bickering. So could you just elaborate a little on how the commission's chemistry plays into lawmaking?
Sure, I disagree with that as well. There's nothing wrong with being passionate at the table. It's a passionate community. It's a community that cares a lot about issues like land use, the city center parking garage, finances, taxes, all the things that we're doing. And you also have a pretty passionate city council. But this is a council that actually works very well together. It doesn't mean everything's going to be, flowers and ponies and roses every day. We need to communicate better with each other. I'm a woman running for office. I think it's unfair that, I'm a very strong woman at the city council table, that a man would come forward and represent me as a bully at the city council table. I'm fair. I watch out for the taxpayers' money. I question things that need to be questioned, and I thank people often when, they come forward and do something that's just wonderful and terrific for the city. I disagree with that. This is a council that's had more 5-0 votes, a few 4-1 votes. We've gotten a lot of work done. There's also a strong majority that works well together that's bipartisan. I work very well with the Commissioner of Public Safety and the Commissioner of Public Works, and there's a good reason for that. I'm finance, and they're the two largest budgets in the city. They need the help of the finance department often. So we work well together and ensure the city has all the essential services it needs and the money to fund those services. But generally speaking, I would say that this is a council that works well together.
Okay. So naturally, the most visible issues like development and taxes are the ones that get the most airtime. Are there any other issues that you think kind of tend to fall by the wayside but are still very important to you?
Well, in this form of government, there's a lot that an individual commissioner or mayor can do. And I've taken on a lot for this city. I'm going to roll out a new website in the next couple of weeks that I think will be truly fantastic for residents, visitors, Skidmore College students, parents coming to visit. It's going to be it's something we really need to have. Parking app. I've put all our municipal parking lots on an app. These sound like small things, but they get people to the parking garages and parking decks efficiently instead of driving around. Where's the parking? I sponsored a 2-megawatt solar array on our landfill. We're going to ground break on that in April. I'm excited about that. A second phase of that is going to have community solar. I'm really interested in energy projects. IT also reports into the finance department, which is why I'm rolling out a new city website. But one of the other things I really want to investigate over the next couple of years is broadband information access. I call it being a gig city for everyone. And in order to do that, we'll need to pull together all our stakeholders, the college, Skidmore College, the hospital, the public library, the school district, and the city, and figure out how we lay the groundwork for really what I think will be the next 100 years in terms of fiber optics and broadband for all. Kind of like a utility, water, sewer. There's just a lot you can work on as a commissioner in this form of government.
What are some of the energy projects you've done? Because I noticed you were talking a lot about them in the debates.
So we've got the 2-megawatt solar array, which I know Skidmore has also a 2-megawatt solar array. We're a little bit behind you in that there are a lot of solar projects in the state that are coming on board, and National Grid right now is updating their systems in order to better maintain the solar projects coming on board. So I have the 2-megawatt solar array, which will really be for energy use for the city, but the second phase of that will be community solar, which I'm very excited about. Much like a community garden, people who may not be able to put solar panels on their homes or businesses will be able to buy in through the power purchase agreement, much like the city is using for solar. I'm also looking into a hydroelectric project. There are a lot of old hydroelectric dams in New York State, so there's a company called Gravity Renewables, and I think maybe Skidmore has worked with them on a partnership as well. You have a hydroelectric plant, so I'm also working with them on finding the right plant. We believe we've identified one, so I'll be bringing that forward to council fairly soon. And then I just tend to keep my eye on what's going on in energy. It's fascinating. There's all sorts of interesting things happening with renewables and green energy. So I've really enjoyed that.
All right. So a hot topic of late has been the introduction of the Saratoga PAC. Would you like to take a moment to weigh in on that?
I sure would. So Saratoga PAC is actually a super PAC, an IEC, an Independent Expenditure Committee. And so they're vastly different than the typical PAC you hear about. Unions have PACs, professions have PACs. I've accepted money from plumbers and pipe fitter union. I've accepted money from, say, the carpenters union. An IEC is actually an organization that is legally not allowed to communicate with a candidate and does not work with a candidate's operation. So my feeling is they often create confusion. They can take your, if they, whether they endorse you or do not endorse you, they can put out whatever message they want. My feeling is I would like to have strict control over my campaign message and work with my campaign team. If it doesn't say paid for by Citizens for Madigan, I encourage people to look at whatever may be going out on my behalf with skepticism. And I would say that for all of the candidates that are running right now, if it doesn't say it's paid for by their campaign and it says paid for by Saratoga PAC, I guess I would view the material with skepticism. I think it creates confusion amongst the voters. We are all trying to run on our record and on certain messages, and they do not have to coordinate with a campaign at all. It's different, and IEC is different.
All right. Thank you very much. So, in conclusion, are there any final remarks that you'd like to send out to your constituents?
I want to say thank you for doing this. I think it's terrific. This gets Skidmore involved with local politics, which I think is good. You know, you're here for 4 years. I have great constituents. I think I have a lot of support in this city. I hope to be their finance commissioner for another 2 years. I ask humbly for their vote. I'm doing some great things for the city, and I'd like to continue doing so.
That's one other thing.
Sure.
Are there any other projects you want to go forward with in the next 2 years, or that you are really passionate about?
Yes, I mean, I need to focus. I've taken on a lot of projects as it is over the last 4 years. The Spa Solar Park is big. Rolling out a new website is actually big. We're talking about like hundreds of thousands of pages of content that need to be converted. Time and attendance is another one that I'm doing, which doesn't, that'll just bring better efficiencies into City Hall. But the two that I really want to focus on and are big into my next tenure is the broadband fiber optics and affordable housing. I truly believe we need to be looking at workforce housing. I've been given this a lot of thought. It does come down to senior and workforce housing, and I do believe seniors also need affordable housing, but I really want to focus on affordable workforce housing. How this council gets there over the next couple of years for senior and workforce housing will be interesting. It may be something that has to be mandated, but we have to find a way to make affordable housing available in the city of Saratoga Springs. If we want to keep it the unique, economic, diversified city that it should be, we need to look at that issue.
All right.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming in, and I hope that the election goes well for you.
Thank you.
In your
Thank you
favor.
very much.